When it came to money and racing, my mom was my dad's bookkeeper, and he was a self-made man, painted houses, and so it was a pretty simple deal. Now all of a sudden you have contracts coming in and tens of thousands of dollars and bonuses and this and that, and it was freaking my mom out. She was scared to death. And she told me, she goes, I don't know what to do. This is more money than I've ever dreamed of. And then my dad and I, we started going at it. I call on a Sunday after a national. You just didn't have cell phones. What happened? I got second. What, did you bike break? No, David was fast. I mean, he was on fire at his house in Axon, Virginia. I'm chasing him around. I couldn't beat him. What, did they give him some special parts or this or that? And then the next thing was, he's sitting there doing the math. He goes, do you realize how much money you lost? You lost this from Bell, you lost this from Fox, you lost this from this from Honda, And I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't have a family anymore. I got my mom, who's scared to death that she's going to lose the money I have. My dad, who's doing the math. I don't want to talk to him now. When I get home, the last person I want to see, the guy who's just yelling at me. I'm a grown ass man. You're yelling at me because I got second place, which I thought was pretty damn good, and I was bleeding for it. I was fortunate to get with Dave Stevenson, who was an accountant for JT Racing way back in the day. And I had the hard, very, very, very uncomfortable conversation with my parents that I want you out of my money, because first thing mom is like, ooh, thank God. Second thing is, screw you, you don't trust me. And so there's that, now there's that dynamic. But I said, I can't have this where, I have my own house, I have my own cars, I pay for all my own stuff, and have you yell at me like I'm 12 years old and I didn't clean my room. I'm just not doing that anymore. Not that I never supported my parents, it's just I didn't want them on the day-to-day. And so for me, I had a great relationship with Dave Stevenson. The only reason I have anything today is because of him. The day that it happened, we were at Gainesville. Jeff Stanton and I were going back and forth. Jeff lived with me when he came to Honda. Came down to Gainesville, we're out practicing. I'm going around another rider. It's Danny Storbeck, and Danny was fast. Danny was always fast. So I'm trying to pass him. Jeff stands right behind me because we kind of rode together. There's a jump up a hill, and I kind of scrubbed to stay low. Yes, we did scrub back then. Scrubbed to stay low, and as I start to accelerate to come up, actually he was on the other side of me, and I gassed it really hard. Well, when he jumps it hard, doesn't know that I'm going to scrub to stay low, his front wheel hits me in the back of the elbow, and it shoves my hand up on my arm. So it just dislocated and broke my wrist. So my wrist was over here, my hand was over here. And I'm just like, I was sitting there, I thought I was doing this. I'm going like, ah, man, my wrist is hot, it hurts. And so when I look down, it's just jumping to the side a little bit. And I look down, and I'm like, holy shit. My arm bones are in my hand's over here. And it just was so, it didn't look human. It was so mangled. I looked at it, I just had this sinking feeling, this is not gonna heal in 2 weeks. Doc Metzger hit me with a shot of Novocaine. They took me to the hospital, and I went into surgery. And when I went into surgery, I honestly thought I was gonna die. And then you get the anesthesiologist tells you, well, we are putting you to sleep and things can happen and blah, 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 and have you eaten? And I'm sitting there by myself. I'm in a hospital in Florida. Nobody's there. Everybody's at the race. And I had this Dave Martin, who was a friend of mine from New York, who gave me a ride to the hospital. And I'm like thinking, shit, man, wasn't it just like 3 hours ago that I was leading the Supercross championship and I was probably going to win this race, and now I'm sitting here. This is kind of like a movie. It goes from so high to so low. But I woke up after the surgery in a lot of pain and started my journey to try to come back, and I started too soon. I didn't take care of myself the way I needed to. I wanted the pins out of my hand. I took them out too soon. The spacing I should have listened to doctors, and I thought I was smarter than them, but not even close. My world was over. It was because, and this is no bullshit. It went from, I would come home, people today can't identify with this, but I had an answering machine. And I'd have a 90-minute cassette tape, because when I would leave for the weekend or gone for a week, it would fill up. And so I would come home and listen to people on my thing for 45 minutes on one side of a 90-minute cassette tape. Then it went from that to 0. Your team manager and everybody is taking care of the riders, and the world still moves, and you get ripped off, and you're sitting there, and you're waiting for all these people that loved you, you know, that you were the shit and everything to them, and then all of a sudden when you're not there anymore, they don't mean to be so cruel. Like, people don't, but you're not there. It hurts because you don't want to think people like you because you win or because you're making money or this or that, but fucking grow up. It's the truth. People are attracted to you for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of times people are attracted to winners because they're winning for no other reason. They're the popular guy. You know, what's fashionable is winning. You can wear a sweatshirt and jeans. If you're winning, you're the coolest kid in town. So when you're not winning anymore, people aren't going to be around. As I said, they're going to move on to the next thing. What does mental health mean to me? That's a big question, because so much of racing is a mental game. I mean, it's a very, 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 very physical game. But even more, it becomes a mental game at that point, of how much pain can you tolerate, and how much are you willing to put up with to win this race or to win this championship, whatever it might be. Your mental game is being worked on from a very young age. And we don't educate people enough on the bad side. You know, we have mental coaches. Visualize winning, visualize this, the answer or whatever it is, you know. Visualize it, see it, and make it happen. There's all this great stuff to help people achieve their goals and to win that race and to stand on top of that podium. But then where is it? Hey, where's the help for when I've lost everything that I've ever done, and help me get back? One of the things that I've used, and I'm a huge fan, and I've been blessed to become friends with her, is Gabby Reese. And she talks about Laird Hamilton, and they ask her about, how can you let him go surf these giant monster waves? It's like 60 feet tall and blah, blah, blah. She goes, for one, I can't tell him what to do or what not to do. But she said something to him about how Laird goes through these dark times when there's no waves and no surf and no this, no that. She said, imagine, and I don't think she wrote it, but she goes, imagine if you were raised to slay dragons. Your whole life, all you've ever done was slay dragons, and then you're the best dragon slayer in the world. Then all of a sudden one day they come and go, guess what? There's no more dragons. Now what are you? Well, I'm a dragon slayer. I'm the best dragon slayer in the world. Well, there's no more dragons, so you need to stop that. You need to stop being that. I know you got praised for being this barbaric guy that runs out with a sword and a whatever and kills dragons, but now there's no more dragons, so I need you to become a lapdog and do that. So that's the thing, is that we've trained these kids to be killers, so to speak. I mean, what a current Supercross racer, national racer, and GP racer, and really any racer at that point, flat track, whatever it is, they put their life on the line all the time because they're willing to take that chance for the victory. And then all of a sudden something happens in their career. They get injured, they time out, they lose their ride, they're just not quite cutting it at the top. And now all of a sudden, okay, I need to be a goggle rep or a clothing person. Not that that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad at all. And God bless our industry that supports the guys that don't race anymore. But how do you go from sitting on the starting line week after week, willing to die to clear this jump, to go into the first turn is one of the ballsiest moves in life. And then all of a sudden, let's switch gears. Well, no, I'm used to switching gears up. I don't want to downshift. And so when you force a guy to downshift, that's when the shit gets sideways. Tough one. It was my mom, because she, a couple things. One, when I was young, and I realized I was going to die someday. I was scared to death of it, literally. And she just said, you know, you can't live life like that. I'm like, but I'm gonna die someday, you know? She goes, yeah. And she was smart enough to put it in my terms. I was about 11 or 12 years old when I realized, like, you know, it's gonna come to an end. You know, I mean, you always you talk about it, this and that, but it really hit me. And she said, you ride motorcycles, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you crashed really hard. I go, yeah. She goes, do you want to crash? I'm like, no. She says, do you think you're never going to crash again? I said, no, I'm probably going to crash. You know, she's like, that's why you put your helmet on, you put your shoulder pads on, you put your knee pads on, blah, blah. But that's not, you don't stop going fast because you're afraid of crashing. I said, no, because I want to win. I want to be up front. She says, life's the same thing. If you walk around afraid of, if you race a motorcycle afraid of crashing, you're never going to win because you're going to hold back. And if you live life afraid of dying, you're never going to fully live. And she's the one that really, she got me. She knew what I was about. She knew how hard I was and how soft I was and all the different things. And then when I went through my darkest moment, I had a out-of-body experience and I visualized her finding me. And when I saw that, I couldn't do it. The one real dark one was I got everything that I ever wanted. I was the winningest rider of the year. I won 2 championships, got second to David, won Carlsbad GP, won the Paris Supercross, won Japan Supercross, won Motocross to Nations. You know, I had a stellar year. Motocross Action Rider of the Year. I had boats and cars and cash and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I realized, because I was going through a situation with my parents and drinking at the time, and my mom that was the time that she got sober. I have everything and I'm still not happy. Uh-oh, now what? Because if I think I'm gonna have a better year the following year, that's not gonna make me happy. And that's when I contemplated, you know, blowing my head off. And I looked at it and played Russian roulette with myself, and when the bullet came up, I looked at it and I had an out-of-body experience, and I saw myself kill myself. And I felt no emotion. I just was like an out-of-body watching it, just like, wow, that's made a mess. And I heard the phone ring, and then I hear my mom's voice go, hey, where you at, blah, blah, blah. It's your mom, call me. Sun went down, sun came up. Phone rings again, it's my mom. Hey, where you at? I've left you a message, you little asshole, call me. Just like she normally would. Third day, I hear the sun goes down, sun comes up. I hear her voice, I could hear the worry in her voice. And then all of a sudden, sun goes down, sun comes up, and I hear her come through the house like she normally would. Hey, God damn it, I've been calling you for 3 days, what the hell, blah, blah. And she walked around the corner and she saw my head blown off and me dead. And I saw what that did to her, and I couldn't do it. So, like I saw, like, oh my God, I just killed her by doing that. And so when I saw that, I just like snapped out of it, and I was back in my office with a gun in my hand, and I said, I can't do it. So when it comes to I say who helped me through not doing it, it was the vision of my mom. It is an emotional thing for me because that was in my mind. It was like I said, a total out-of-body experience, and I saw it and I had no emotion as I was watching it. The only emotion I felt is when I came back and I was back inside of me. So that's the thing, is what you do to the people you leave behind by killing yourself is horrific. You're not hurting yourself, you're crushing everybody in your life. And so that's the thing that has ever stopped me from any negative thing is I'm not gonna leave that legacy for my kids, for my wife, for my mom, my dad, my sister, anybody. It's okay to be in a dark spot, and it's okay to think evil thoughts and to think dark thoughts and to think death thoughts and think all these different things. But it's not okay to act on it. Thoughts and actions, we have to separate those, and that's the thing is don't get too attached to these dark thoughts that force you to do an irreversible action. The advice I give someone who's struggling with mental health is find somebody that you can dump that big dark shadow on, that you can share that with. That's the main thing. And you know, I've had friends that have committed suicide, and friends of those people, and we would say, man, if something would have happened, and if the bullet would have missed, or whatever it might have been, that person would have gotten up the next day and said, what the hell was I thinking? You know? And so don't make a decision at a dark time, good, bad, or indifferent. Don't make anything that's that kind of final, you know, on a late night or whatever it might be. Because what I found is that if you said, and the saying, I hate to say it, but this too shall pass, it will pass. The hurt that you feel towards losing somebody, the hurt that you feel towards losing your career, whatever it might be, there's gonna be other stuff. So for me, I went from what I thought was, you know, Kid from El Cajon's paradise of winning races and boats and cars and all that different stuff, to when it was over, I thought my life was over. And it was far from, because I lived and still live an unbelievably beautiful life. I've got a wife that I've been married for 31 years. I have 3 kids that are thriving and doing their thing. I enjoy my dogs every day, playing pickleball with my wife, racing trucks down in Baja, going 120 miles an hour at night and things like that. So there's gonna be something else. Just don't be so narrow-minded and think that this is your one thing in life. Because if it's gonna get taken away sooner or later. Just like dying, you're all gonna die. And guess what? We're all gonna retire. We're all gonna deal with loss. We're all gonna deal with injury and all different stuff. Just enjoy what you got while you got it. So get up and watch the sunrise.